Well,
let's bring in. You want to introduce him, Tun?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us, he's a man that makes boxing. He's a man that makes boxing look poetic, sound poetic. He brings style, grace, personality to the game. He's sitting there. He's probably just finished off his curry goat and rice. He's got it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you.
Johnny knows to eat curry goat and rice.
Yeah, man, he does, man.
What are you, man?
Pudding.
Johnny posted up the meat market. I've been watching the post, Johnny. Where you put bigging up the meat market. Johnny's he's up there. But
you
ladies
know
and gentlemen,
don't you?
finally, my friend, Spencer's friend, big in the business, Mr. Sky TV. They should promote him to the president of Sky. The one, the only, Johnny Nelson.
No, that are too many people doing that kind of thing there. I'm all right. I'm good, thank you. I'm good, boys. You look like you're on fire. So you know what? I've got to say, you boys are killing it. I'm telling you now, you're killing it. And I've seen you go from nothing to something, and you're killing it. So always entertaining, always informative. So bad.
What are you eating right now, Johnny?
Chicken. Chicken. Well, it's actually turkey. Because
there's not many black people who don't eat chicken.
No, but I went up to 19 stone, you know. 19 stone, like, nah, that ain't right. So I don't mean like fat 19, I mean big hench 19, like bah. So I just want to slim down so I can fit in my suits before the show start again.
For real. Otherwise, you're gonna have to ask Glenn McCory to lend you some of his.
Hey, listen to me. This boy's been calling me out, hasn't he? Saying when you do right, yeah.
Wow.
Saying when he does Roy Jones, he wants to sort out our little beef. I thought we ain't got no beef. I'd have beat him up every day of the week. So he's just done another thing. So if it happens, you know I'd do it, don't you? If that, do it.
That's what I'm saying. Is that you really think that fight is gonna happen, Roy Jones? Because Roy Jones just looks like he's just tricking people.
Yeah, but you know what? But Roy fights for fun. You know, it's in his blood, and I think obviously with the Tyson situation, that was a little change earner. But he's probably one of those guys that thinks, you know what, I still got something left, even though you're blowing his chin is gone. But I think against Glenn, again, you know, remember Glenn's been retired 25 years and the rest. So for Roy's still actively in the gym sparring and everything, hitting people and being hit. So yes. I think with Glenn, he's kind of, what is he chasing down? Because unless it's just a beating, I don't know what he's chasing down.
And I guess it goes back to the whole, you know, we had that show on mental health and how a lot of retired boxers, they're really, they're finding themselves after their career's over. That's why I was bigging you up before, because there ain't many retired professional boxers that go on to make a career after the sport. And it seems to me what I'm seeing with this whole legend things is these men really have not done nothing after their career. They're just looking at payday.
Yeah. But you know what? Times and employment has changed now, and doing things like this gives a chance. It's a chance for guys like you, Spencer, me, and everybody that knows our sports. But we just haven't got any letters after our name because we've been to college and university, or we're just not in the right place or being employed right by the right people. Now it's a chance for people like you and I to actually talk about a sport we know inside out. And so all of a sudden, the people that have only pushed a pen, that have never put a pair of gloves on, they're on the outside looking in because your job is to translate what everybody sees in the ring. And that's my job too, to translate what everybody sees. I'm no smart ass. You know, I walked out of school with no qualifications. But one thing I do know is boxing. And no man, no matter how smart he is, no how many letters he came out after his name after university can tell me about my sport. So forums like this gives people like us a chance to talk about our sport instead of you've got a lot of people that love the sport, and I get that, but only people that have done it can actually really translate it.
Mm-hmm.
Spence?
Yeah, Johnny, looking back at your career, right? Your career, I think you actually underplay yourself. I think you underplay yourself because you don't really boast about stuff. You don't boast about the victory, and you have to go look on the night that you beat Carl Thompson. The night you beat Carl Thompson, you have to remember that after that win, even though I believe that it was a premature stoppage, but I still think you would have stopped him anyway, right?
Yeah.
After that win, you held that title for 7.5 years. People don't give you the credit of you being a world champion, and I think it was 2000. I think it was 2003. Ring Magazine. It was 2003. Ring Magazine had you as the #1 cruiserweight in the whole entire world. Talk to the people.
You know what? Today, when you told me about this little chat we're going to have, I said, excuse my French, we're going to piss a lot of people off. Because Brendan always said to me, he said, your success, he said, your success says it all. So when man's saying, Nelson, you were this, Nelson, you were that, my success says it all. And so when I'm asked the question, I'll give the answer. Otherwise, just leave them ignorant. So then I knew when I became world champion, I knew I was the best in the world. I knew when I became champion, I would never lose in the ring. So that's something you know in your gut. It's nothing you can say it's factual. I knew I'd never lose in the ring, but I knew I was the best in the world. And that's the difference between champions today and yesteryear. I was one of the few fighters that thought he was the best. I boxed a guy called Marcellus Dominguez. He lost to Juan Carlos Gomez, the WBC title the year before, and he was revered as one of the best at the time until losing. His first fight back was against me because he wanted to get a rematch against Juan Carlos Gomez. I beat this man up. But what he said before the fight was, if Johnny Nelson beats me, I'll retire. Because he's looking at my resume. He's looking, thinking Nelson's been stopped, he's lost, he's not done anything in amateurs, and they're not giving the respect where they respect you, which I don't mind. But when I see fights and I see fighters, I just think, you can't hustle me. I know that. I know our game. I look at Usyk and I rate Usyk. He's a badass. But I'd have beat him on my day.
I believe so.
On my day. And people kick off saying, Nelson, what you talk? I know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to worry about getting the tap on the back to say, yeah, you're right. Because I know. Yes. And Brendan told me to believe my shit.
Donated $14.99, and he states, "Come on, speak, Johnny." He's enjoying the chat.
And a man's paying for that, Johnny. A man's paying to hear you speak.
Martin, fire.
but Johnny, sorry, just going back to that point. You know, you really are inspirational because a lot of people don't realize, even as an amateur, I think you lost like 12 or 13 out of 40. What, speak about that, John. And most importantly, what drove you to just keep working?
You know what? Some people are born and they know the path in life the second they're born. Some people are pushed on it, they fall on it. And some people just, they just never find that path in life. I started boxing, I had 13 amateur fights. I won 3. And people mock me. They mock me to my face. And even in the gym, you look at Dominic Kingle now, he's running the gym where Brendan's in. I know for a fact, if I'd have walked in the gym today with Dominic Kingle being the trainer, he'd have run me out of the place. But Brendan showed me patience. He showed understanding. And he said, you have not got the confidence to match your ability. I don't know if it was the way I stood, the way I spoke, the way if my head was up or down or whatever. But he said, if you stick with me, you'll be all right. And it's only because I trusted him and I believed in him, that I stuck it out. That's the only reason. So when it was down, it was dark, and I was getting proper verbally abused left, right, center. He was a voice that I knew brought me through. And so when I became champion, I knew it was my destiny. I knew I'd done everything. I'd experienced everything in boxing for nobody to take it away from me. I've won, I've lost, I've traveled the world, boxing people's backyards. I've been abused. I've been glorified. I've seen every side of our sport. So when my time came, I knew that no other fighter had walked in my shoes. And that's what I thought. I never believed it.
What the taxman? The taxman. The taxman heard that no one's walked in your shoes, saying that, all right, let me check those paydays you made. But Johnny, again, you've spoken about the amateur, but even as a professional, losing 12 fights as a pro, again, that's why I think it was Spencer. Well, both of us said, listen, we got to draw up a poster for Johnny. Because what you've embodied and what you've gone.
But Tunde, you know what? Winning and losing isn't everything. It's the end goal what's important. So sometimes you got to lose a battle to win a war. You know what I mean? Winning and losing isn't everything. And it's ego is our biggest enemy. So when we lose a fight, why? How can I deal with this? You got to check that, because it's not just about training your body, it's about training your mind. Shut up, Dad. It's about training your mind.
You forgot to kill one dog to eat before you.
But what I'm saying is, so when I lost, Brendan said, each one you're learning, learn from the loss, and that's all I did. I just kept learning from the loss, and so when each time I lost, I thought, all right, that one happened again. All right, this happened this time. That one happened again, and that's all I could do. But it was the best thing I did, and I'm glad I lost the fight I lost. I'm glad I went through the experience I went through, because I knew if I didn't, I wouldn't have been the champion I was. When I first boxed for the WBC against Carlos de Leon, boringest fight in the world. But I drew. See there, and I drew for the fight. Now, and I lost. I didn't get beat. I lost, as far as I'm concerned. But it was a draw. A novice kid like me, it was a draw. If I'd have won that fight and they'd given that title, I'd have probably lost it in my second, third defense. So, and I look at things, I think, you know what, things happen for a reason. And I had to, and that's why, to me, I just think going through that, I needed that. Going through the loss to James Wayne, that was a loss. I needed that. Because then I thought, that ain't never going to happen again. Never going to happen again.
So do you think that there's too much emphasis put on this, this mystical own nowadays? And fighters are even being made to believe that if they lose a fight, their careers are over. Yeah,
but because it's easy to sell. It's easy to sell a monster, an unbeaten fight that's knocking everybody out, a fight you don't understand. It's easy to sell that. So for TV, for the promoters, it's easy to say this man's unbeatable. But then for the fighters, once you start to buy into it and believe in all the hype, the second you lose, the second something bad happens, you start to think like the civilians on the street. You think you're done. Yeah. So you got to remember, and this isn't making out boxers any better than any other human being in the world, but you got to understand, this is a sport where we are different. We think differently from every other sportsman. Every man that sits in his armchair tells you could have done better, you were this, that, and the other. So this is a sport where it's about mentally getting yourself right as well as physically getting yourself right. Mentally going through experience as well as physically going through experience. Because with experience, what you get? Wisdom. With wisdom, nobody can tell you nothing. Nobody can tell you nothing.
There you go. Spencer, what are you doing, man? Get off TikTok or whatever nonsense there.
No, I'm just answering the questions on Twitter. Where people are.
Okay. Johnny, well, listen, tonight's discussion is about the best British boxers of the last 25 years. I mean, as I said, there are so many fighters which we could have put on the list, which are not on the list. Because we really have had, and as I said, you are definitely one of them. You're definitely in the conversation, and there's many others. People were talking about Jude McKenzie. These guys.
Jude's a badass man. Rated, underrated, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves. He doesn't get the credit he deserves, and I'm thinking, why? You know, because this man is like, for what he achieved, people just don't get it.
They don't. Unfortunately.
So I'm gonna tell you the list, John, and we're gonna put you on the spot, because I mean, it doesn't matter what you come up with. The list is so deep, and when you listen to the names, the list is so deep that we really could be here all day picking our top 5, 10. But here we go from the top: Anthony Joshua, Nigel Benn, Carl 80,000 at Wembley Froch. We got Ricky the Hitman Hatton, Prince Nazim Hamed, man you know very well, David Haye, Tyson Fury, Lennox the Lion Lewis, Joe Calzaghe, and Chris Eubanks. What a list!
You know why? Serious list. A serious list. But you know what? You've got to give credit where credit's due. No matter what, I go on with me and Naz. I'm telling you now.
Well, what happened
to see?
What happened?
Yeah, because controversy and chatty business sells. So come lay out.
But regardless of the relationship between Naz and myself, he is the best British fighter I've ever seen live. Bar Harold Graham. Harold Graham didn't get the win the world title, so it's hard for me to sell him. But I'm telling you, because I see it, and listen, I could be wrong. I don't know what Nigel did in the gym when nobody's there. I don't know what the others have done in the gym. But I'm telling you, I seen that boy broke up some man in the gym. And I can remember when he went to New York, and it was a big deal when Naz had to go and fight in New York. And when you look at when AJ was out there, I was sat in a limousine with Naz, and we were driving through Times Square.
1997.
And there's a big billboard poster of him in Times Square, flashing up. And Naz is like, shit. And it's the first time I ever heard doubt in the boy's voice. He said, you know what, Johnny? I'm nervous. I went, yeah. But then when it came to the fight, he was a one fighter that he translated nerves and that fear into energy, into ferocity. The crowds he attracted, Puff Daddy, Michael Jackson, all them people that knew this boy was something special. I'm telling you, he could fight. And he could fight for fun. He did fight. He fought some live opponents. I agree. When he boxed Barrera, this boy had fallen off the scale. He thought he could do it all himself. But the team between him and Brendan Ingle were untouchable. Look at what Naz did to boxing. So you look at what money's been brought into boxing because of Anthony Joshua right now. But you look at what Naz did in regards to the razzmatazz, the show business in our sport. That's Naz, you know. That's Naz. I remember Chris Beaumont season 1 that jumped over the boats. Naz is coming in on flying carpet. People used to go to watch just to see his entrance into the ring. You know, and to me, I just thought, you know, he was a whole package. The whole package when it came to being a fighter.
Wow. So Naz is up there. You're number one.
Definitely up there. Definitely up there. So I look at Naz. I look at Joe, because Joe, it beat everybody that was around at his time. That no regards, it's not his fault who was there, but he got the job done. He was underestimated. He was underrated. You know, so Joe again. Joe's punch output was unbelievable. They wanted to leave Wales and come and live in London. He wanted to train in the little shack down the bottom of his garden, and that's how this man, who retired undefeated, prepared himself for fights. He was happy to do that. You don't need the bright lights of London. You don't need the big stars and stripes on you. As long as you know you've got talent and you've got a right team behind you, you can achieve anything. So Joe Calzaghe, Prince Nazim Hamed. I tell you what, I'm putting in there, Nigel Benn. And I tell you why I'm putting Nigel Benn in there, because he got his ass bust against Michael Watson. I boxed on the same bill. I was on the same bill. Yes, and everybody thought, boy, I don't know. And then remember all the criticism he got because he was reckless, he was open, he was vulnerable, he was chinny. All these things were being said. I saw Michael give me his ass in Finsbury Park. And then Nigel went away, licked his wounds, and took himself out to America and came back an even better fighter. He was unpredictable. He was raw. At times, my man had been knocked out on the ropes, and then that devil just come out of him. Bam! He's back again. I've not seen anybody with that kind of anger inside them to be able to translate it into a fight. So I think Nigel, how he he rose to be a hero, then was vilified when he lost it and laughed at when he lost to Michael Watson, then went away to America and come back again and took himself up there. He could fight. You know, you've got to give this man credit where credit's due. And when you talk bottles, when you talk cojones, no, Nigel Benn every day of the week. Every day of the week.
Fantastic. So
how do you think Nigel Benn would have done against Joe Calzaghe? And also, how do you think Joe Calzaghe would have done against Carl Froch?
I think
great question.
Carl's my friend. I rate him as a fighter and what he achieved. I think Joe would have beat Carl. I think Joe was too busy for him. And he'd been one of those fighters where you just get pissed off. And Carl's a tough man. I think Joe would have beat Carl on points. I think Joe Calzaghe against Nigel Benn. Again, Joe Calzaghe, if Nigel Benn had hit Joe Calzaghe, he'd have knocked him out clean. He'd have took him out. But Joe's punch output was right up there. He looked like he slapped. He didn't slap. He could have a tear up, but you can't have that kind of tear up with Nigel Benn because Nigel Benn wouldn't have knocked him out.
Great. I remember, I forgot where it was, I think Scotland. He fought that Cadbury Salim brother. Yeah, and he put him up. Yeah, he put Joe.
Jumped him up, twisted him up. Joe's like someone just bitch slapped him. Like Joe dropped on his knees. He's up again. Can you imagine getting licked back like that by Nigel Benn? Can you imagine getting hit by that? Nah, I'm telling you. Nigel, I remember being ringside when Nigel boxed Joe McLaren, and I love my sport, but I actually thought it was barbaric watching the fight because when those boys were thumping each other and they both got it, they both took some licks. It was like hearing a baseball bat hit a watermelon. You know, it was brutal, and I'm like, damn, this is what I do, and it even unnerved me. You know, so Nigel had heart and he had proper true balls because a lot of men when they start to get a beating, they want to find a way out. No, Nigel got punched out of the ring, jumped back in again and finished him off. He got beat up. Nobody wanted to box McLaren. So you've got to give Nigel credit where credit's due.
I remember I was training Michael Bowen at the end. You know, Michael Bowen retired. I think he's 40 or old and something like that. But I remember before that, I was training with Howard Eastman when I first turned pro. And I used to see Howard boss up man in the gym. And then Michael Bowen said to me, because I was like, oh, this guy is a serious puncher, Howard Eastman, solid. He said, let me tell you something, Tunde. No way could Howard Eastman punch like Nigel Benn. And I'll never forget that. And I was like, you sure? He said, Tunde, trust me, Nigel Benn was something special. He had that power.
Yeah. Remember Eubank? They fight in 1990, November 1990. Eubank, this man, he was like, I'm just in pain, bro.
You know why Chris had his number? Because Nigel hated Chris. And once you start working like that, you stop using common sense. And Nigel, Chris knew how he acted. Got under Nigel's skin. Now, if I can get either of you to hate me when it comes to fighting, man, you've had 3 months training.
Johnny, that's not
I've got to make you hate me. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if I can get you to do that, what happens is you stop thinking about tactics. You just think, sure, I'm just going to take your head off. And Chris was the only one, and still is the only one, that can really get under Nigel's skin. You get Nigel by himself and get to talk about Chris, and you'll see that straight away.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Remember,
I think that's
I really do hate him. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think that's one of Tyson Fury's key weapons as well. He knows how to psychologically get into fighters' heads.
Yeah, and listen to me. I said I've gone on record and said I think Anthony Joshua beats Tyson Fury. I've said it on record. But I tell you this: when it comes to the verbal sparring, Tyson Fury will twist him up. Tyson Fury will mash him up. So before they get in the ring, Anthony Joshua has to be able to switch off all the foolishness what Tyson Fury says, because Tyson Fury will twist him up with history, with lyrics, with how far he's willing to go, how far he's willing to chat. And I know Anthony has a cool rude boy side to him, but he's far too professional to let everybody see it. And I know when them two fight, it's going to be two different stories before, during, and after the fight.
Great. Alexander Wilson again.
Thank you again for the $5 donation. $5. Got a question for you. Just pay $5, so you better put in your best English to answer this one, Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny, Alexander Wilson asks, Johnny, I said Clinton Woods should be on the list of the top UK fighters in the last 25 years. He beat Glenn Johnson, who was the lineal champ at 175. So, you know, what was your take on Clinton Woods, Joe?
Clinton Woods, a Sheffield boy, a tough piece of man. I understand your argument, especially if you're a fan. I don't agree with you because he beat Glenn Johnson. Glenn Johnson was again another tough man. So you had two tough necks getting in the ring, and Clinton outboxed him. But you've seen Clinton get outboxed. You've seen Clinton can take a lick, he can give a lick. But I think he was very good. He was just very good. It wasn't like outstandingly shit. You see, man do that.
That's what I said.
It didn't do anything to make me think, damn. I just thought this boy's tough. He's good, and that's what got him through.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was.
And it sounds like I'm disrespecting my old Sheffield. I'm not. I'm just saying it because I like Clinton, but I just think he was very good for his level. He was very good. And so at that time, he beat all comers that were there in front of him. That went to toe to toe with him. He was a tough man.
Yes, my sentiments exactly. So listen, you said Lennox, didn't you? Yeah, you said Lennox.
Yeah.
You said Naz. You said Joe Calzaghe. You said Ben. So that's 4. Come on, I'm gonna tap you for at least 3 more. You know, I'm gonna repeat the list.
You know I'm in it, don't you?
Listen, you gotta see where we put you. We've given you your own poster. We put all the other fighters together. We gave you your own poster, John. So that says enough. So yeah, let me repeat the list to you again. Anthony Joshua, Nigel Benn, Carl Froch, Ricky Hatton, Prince Nazim Hamed, David Haye, Tyson Fury, Lennox Lewis, Joe Calzaghe, and Chris Eubanks. So I'm going to tap you. You've already said
that because I'm saying that I believe that Amir Khan should be in with a shout of being the last 25 years and being a world champion and being a unified world champion at that. Would you put Amir Khan in that, sir?
No. No, I won't put him in. The reason why I won't put him in is because, and which is a shame, because I never, at one point, I thought Amir beat Kell Brook. And then I thought Kell Brook could beat Amir. And then I just had no idea. And what you see is
like the rest of us.
Yeah. And then what you see is the reason why these fights didn't happen. If for one reason or another, if Kell does this, we'll fight. If Kell does that, we'll fight. But for one reason or another, he didn't want to fight Kell. Now, trust me, he could have beat Kell. I didn't. But I thought, you know what? You let yourself down. You're dissing yourself hard because there's either some deep-rooted hatred there, or you think this man's going to give you your ass. He's going to give you a ass busting. So Amir, that's the only thing that lets Amir down in his career because he is the fastest fighter when it comes to dropping combinations I have seen live. Fast.
Oh my God!
When he boxed Devin Alexander. When he boxed Devin Alexander,
I saw this you at the Excel. I remember he fought the Irish, but I forgot what his name. I could not believe how fast his hands were.
Yeah. And which is why I couldn't understand it. He didn't want to box Kell. I'm like, why won't you want to box? Because there's nobody faster than Amir. So I thought, why don't you want to box Kell? But you know what? Some man, when you see a bogey man, you think, I'm staying away from him. So that was the chink in his armor. Where I said,
right. Ezra,
that's your chink.
Johnny, $4.99. He's posted it in there. So big up yourself, Ezra. He is saying, Johnny, do you think Amir Khan should make the top 10? Zab Judah, look at the fighters that he's beaten. Zab Judah, Polimalaji, Marcus Madana. He floored Marcus Madana. Remember, he floored him with a body shot.
Listen. I agree.
Anthony couldn't do. Luis Calazzo, very, very good fighter. Devin Alexander.
I put him up. You know what? You're right. Put him in the top 10.
Good resume. So what do you think?
You know what? Put him in the top 10. Put him in the top 10 because of the victories he had, because of what he was capable of doing. He was either take you out or be taken out. He was exciting to watch. You know, put him in the top 10. I hear what you're saying. Because you look at what else was around, yeah, he deserves to be in the top 10. But put him up there at the top, I won't because of that, what I just said, because of the Cal situation. I just thought, nah, it's just. And the thing is, I've not even put Cal in the top 10. So what does that say?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And so
that,
and Cal's my boy. You know what I mean? So I just think, well, you know what? But then
there's some names also that we've kind of forgotten about, you know, because like we're talking about super middleweight, and no one ain't calling James DeGale, who was the first man to become an Olympic gold medalist and the world champion, right? For Great Britain, the first man ever to do it. The second man, obviously, is Anthony Joshua, right? But he was the first man to do it, and he done it at a time where he had a tough fight against Juro. Juro was no pushover. Juro was a serious campaigner.
Yeah, but unless you was into our sport, you wouldn't appreciate how important that win was from James DeGale, and that's why you don't get the credit the credit he deserves in regards to that. And James DeGale should be there. Lennox Stewart definitely should be there. Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury should both be there for different reasons. Now you look at Anthony Joshua, you look at the space of time from 18 years old to this point now, what he's achieved in this short space of time. Usually a man will spend 10 years in the amateurs and then turn pro and then start to learn the trade. My man's been boxing 14 years? How old was he now? 32? 32. How old was AJ? He'd been boxing from the age of 18.
It's
right?
ridiculous.
So look what he's achieved in that short space of time. So that's why I put him in there. Because this boy's like, I'm like, you know what? You're not even a finished article on what you've done. For Tyson Fury, of course, this man has immersed himself as a fighting man in our sport. He knows our sport inside out. His style may not look attractive, but he's the sweetest boxer out of all of them. He'll use a jab, he'll use a fake, he'll use a dummy, he'll use old school fighting. And so with Tyson Fury, again, another fight that definitely has to be up there with the best. Because you let him run away with himself, he's going to take you out. So again, and that's why we're in a great time where we've got two fighters that could be potentially fighting each other next, as in Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. And you know what? I actually like that.
So if we were to do a ranking right now, would you say that you were a greater cruiserweight than David Haye?
Yes.
Why would you say that, Johnny?
Come on.
Because, and I rate David. I'm a massive fan of David.
Stop making friends now. Come on.
I was too fast, too sharp, too unorthodox. David, the more unorthodox you were, the harder the fight was for David. And David, and with Adam Booth, the game plans they had were, you know, it was kind of based on ours, but a bit more straighter, you know, dummy, use the jab, use the ring, use the movement, you know, dummy the jab, throw it from the hip, drop it up, you know, time counter. I know most of them man at cruiserweight that David boxed, I'd have beat them up. And in fact, all of them, I'd have dealt with them. And I thought, you know what, but I rated him. I rated David because I thought you've done well. You've done really well. And so you give credit where credit is due. But if I'm honestly asked, would I beat David? Yeah, I would have beat David. I don't feel no way in saying that. And I can give a good argument for it.
And Carl beat Johnny. I mean, Carl beat David. Let's not forget that.
See it there. So what I'm saying is about opportunities. And listen, I didn't want to just be WBO champion. I wanted to unify. I wanted to box one Carlos Gomez, who at that time was said to be one of the best. And I went to watch him box over in Germany. And he said on national TV, they said, Johnny Nelson's here watching, would you fight him? He said, you couldn't pay me enough money to box that man. He said it on national TV. And I'm like, boy, how come people back home not see this? And one Carlos Gomez was a badass. Cuban born, based in Germany, southpaw. He was beating everybody at cruiserweight. He was a proper handful. And so I knew what I was capable of doing. I knew when I saw David Hayes. I knew when I saw these guys, I'm thinking, give me the chance. Give me the chance. But you know what? Sometimes when you're in a position and you're in the who needs him club, if people have got another choice, they'll take it. I actually remember once that David was he used to go around the gyms and they'd say, "Can we come up and spar?" And he was going to all the gyms and he got in touch with Brendan and Dominic and wanted to come up to spar. And Brendan said, "Why we let him come in and nick our ideas?" He said, "If you box him, if you spar with him, Johnny, you're never going to box him."
Exactly.
So he said, and he didn't play. Brendan didn't buy into that, and I went, all right, cool.
You know what? And I think he was on the first poster we done. DSM says, I agree, spoiler. Frank Bruno. It's like we're forgetting Frank. Frank was a darling of UK boxing. To this day, when Frank gets introduced to the crowd, it's a
Bruno.
You know, so
it was, and Frank Bruno, he was the first crossover boxer in our sport. I remember seeing him on that Milk advert and doing the Nike advert as Frankenstein on national TV. I thought, he's gone now, he's done it. And so the only other fighter that I know has got commercial like that is Anthony Joshua. So that has had that crossover appeal where your grandmothers think, oh, I like that young boy there. You know what I mean? So for Frank, he commercialized what boxing ability he had. Yes, he was found wanted against certain fighters, but for what he achieved, for his style of fighting, for his strength, determination, fourth attempt at a world title to finally get it, you know, Frank deserves to be up there just out of pure respect. But are we talking respect? Are we talking respect? Or are we talking skill? You know, you understand?
Yes.
You know, and so. But Frank, I respect him every day of the week because I remember I worked in Battersea. Went down for the school holidays. I think I was 15. Selling umbrellas for £1 a piece under the Battersea Clock Tower on the corner. And I was selling umbrellas for £1 a piece, and a little red Escort pulled up in front of me at the traffic lights. And I looked in, I'm thinking, Ross, I'm stood behind my table, pounds for the umbrellas for £1. Frank Bruno crunched up behind this Ford Escort, this little red Ford Escort. And I'm like, Frank! And Frank waved to me. And I felt it lifted me. I thought, yeah, man. And it was just so nice that he just spent the time to just turn around and give me that nod. And I looked at Frank and I thought, and I've liked him ever since that day. And even now, I got a soft spot in my heart for him because he made everybody feel as though they knew him, or he made everybody feel as though they knew somebody like him. And so him, out of respect, you've got to put Frank there. Out of respect.
Yes. Alexander Wilson again. Thank you for the donation, Johnny. Man, we need you on the show all day, every day, because you're giving us the super chats. But Alexander Wilson says, Johnny, would you outbox or beat Holyfield at cruiser? James Toney made him look like he'd never put a pair of gloves on. That is a point.
1 second. Before Alexander Wilson, you have to remember, we were talking about an old, past peak James Toney, a man that lost to John Ruiz for the WBA heavyweight title. So we're not talking about a peak Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield just dipped as a fighter, and he wasn't the fighter when he fought James Toney. But I'm not taking away nothing from James Toney because James Toney is absolutely superb.
Spence, I'm not gonna lie, that's one of my favorite fights to watch because the skill set, James.
That was ridiculous. Okay, my favorite Toney fight is him versus Barkley, but you know how it goes. But the skill James Toney got is ridiculous. But to answer,
James Toney beat up my hero Michael Nunn. Michael Nunn was tearing it up, and then James Toney just come and madding him up. I'm thinking, damn, good fast hands. Yeah. So
overhand right.
Come out. You know what? Mama's just come out of prison now. He's just got out of prison. Michael Nunn.
Oh,
big old stretch. Yeah, just come out of prison. Michael Nunn, unbelievable southpaw, wicked fighter, rating him. But back to your question, I think personally, I was one behind Evander Holyfield. He's the best cruiserweight. He's at his best. He was the best in the world. Evander Holyfield, even when he boxed Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield's punch repertoire was far too much. It was far too varied. His heart was that of a man that didn't know anything but win. Even when he was getting his ass given to him, and that's the one I've got to pay homage to. Evander Holyfield. I looked at him and thinking, you know what? You know, they give you a good run for your money on my day, and you on your day. But I rated him. He had such a volume of shots and power and timing. And remember, my man stepped up to heavyweight and he was dropping some big old pieces of heavyweight and stand there toe to toe with him. And so it's not just about the ability. It's not just about the boxing ability. It's about the heart and the mindset. And he had it all.
Well, listen, you've gone up in my estimations as a great man because, fighters, they don't want to give respect where respect is due. And for you to say that, Johnny, really speaks volumes again about the kind of character you are. So, we've had Lennox from yourself, we've had Naz, Joe, Calzaghe, Nigel Benn, Fury, Anthony Joshua, and definitely Frank Bruno out of respect. I'm going to press you for one more. One more out of, let me see.
We've already mentioned him, James DeGale. We've already mentioned him, James DeGale. James DeGale does not get the credit he deserves. And even though he lost to George Groves, when he went out and when he started to fly.
Because George Groves went on to become a world champion as well.
Yeah, and you know what? George Groves, you've got to put him in there as well because George Groves beat him. But you look at the fighters, everybody's got a bogeyman. And George was James's bogeyman. Because there were certain man that James boxed that would have beat George, and vice versa. But James's problem was he was too emotionally driven by his disdain, his hatred for George Groves. So it beat him every time.
Yes,
it beat him every time.
No, sorry, John. Carry.
Yeah, so that's why I've got to put James there because James, his style, his fitness, his arrogance when it came to fighting. Eventually, when he became fully confident with himself, this guy was a rounded fighter, and he was in some proper wars, man. Remember who was it? Bob Jack when he come out, all his teeth were broke up.
Badu Jack.
Yeah, Badu Jack. Yeah, but listen, everybody thinks that happened in the gym. I was in the Fifth Street gym down in Miami, and they said it happened in the gym.
Wow.
2 weeks before, he got all his teeth got broke up in the gym. And Marman said, James, Antonio Tarvio was telling me, he was there. He said, Johnny, he was stood there and he was having wars, and I'm like, yo, you're fighting in a couple weeks' time, and he was there, and his teeth got broke up in the gym, and he still went into fight and still went in and put up such a performance. He's a true warrior. And that's why there's not many warriors. There are not many warriors in our sport, and I've met one or two of them. True warriors, true and true.
Come on, fantastic. We don't want to keep you. I know you're a busy man, Johnny. We'll sought after, but again, we have to thank you for blessing the Fight Is Right. Always an honor and always a pleasure, Spence.
Yeah, massive big up to Johnny Nelson. Very, very supportive human being, and I wish you all of the success of what's going on. And when you're gonna start working for DAZN?
Inshallah.
Come on, Johnny.
I'm just joking. Got great love for the guys.
You're gonna get the lawsuits. I'll tell you, Johnny. This man trying to mash up our team already. He just talks anything. But Johnny, I'm going to round it off again. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had the honor and the pleasure for the last hour or so to have the great Mr. Sky TV himself, the one, the only, Johnny Nelson.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much.